Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let me ask you something. If you had to guess right now, what's the deadliest animal for humans year after year?
Well, most people would probably jump to, sharks, maybe lions, or venomous snakes, perhaps.
Exactly. Something big, something scary, something with teeth,
Hmm.
or venom. We sort of instinctively fear those apex predators, don't we?
It seems hardwired. We see big, we see danger.
Right. But today, our mission is to kind of reset that fear response.
Mm-hmm.
We've been looking into some sources, mainly video analysis of biological and health data,
Mm-hmm.
and they point to a creature responsible for a truly staggering number of deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And its lethality doesn't come from size or strength at all.
No, it comes from something much more insidious, almost. Biological transmission.
It's that gap, isn't it, between what we fear and what's actually the biggest statistical threat. We've evolved to watch out for the lion in the grass.
But the real danger, the biggest killer, is often something we barely notice, something we just swat away.
Exactly. Because the creature we're diving into today isn't some magnificent predator. It's tiny. An insect you probably see every single day.
You're talking about the mosquito.
The mosquito. And look, for our listeners who are really informed, the shock isn't that mosquitoes are dangerous. We all know about malaria, Zika, things like that.
Of course.
The real surprise, the focus of this deep dive, is the sheer relentless scale of the killing.
Yeah.
Year in, year out.
And connecting that back, it's this tiny, fragile creature,
Right.
easily killed with a slap,
Uh-huh.
and yet it's the single greatest animal killer of humans.
Right.
By a massive margin.
Okay, let's unpack that. Let's get into the numbers because they really put it in perspective. This thing, it's smaller than your fingernail
Tiny.
and is responsible for, get this, over 700,000 human deaths.
Yeah.
Every single year.
Over 700,000.
Now, let's pause on that comparison for a second because our source highlights this, and it's crucial. That one little insect kills more people each year than lions, snakes, crocodiles, hippos, sharks.
For all of them combined.
All of them combined. It's not even remotely close.
It really forces you to redefine what dangerous means, doesn't it? It's not about brute force. It's about persistence. Efficiency, maybe.
The sustained lethality. It's a good way to put it. And we're talking about a death toll that rivals, major conflicts or other huge disasters.
But it doesn't make headlines in the same way because it's constant. It's this sort of background hum of mortality, especially in certain parts of the world. It's not one big event. It's thousands of individual tragedies every day.
That's a really important point. You brought up certain parts of the world. Is this death toll evenly spread out, or is it concentrated?
Oh, it's heavily, heavily concentrated. Geographically, it lines up almost perfectly with poverty, climate, and lack of robust public health infrastructure.
So primarily tropical and subtropical regions.
Predominantly, yes. Sub-Saharan Africa carries the biggest burden, especially for malaria. Southeast Asia, parts of South America too. Places where access to prevention, like bed nets and treatment, is limited.
But you mentioned something earlier. That line is getting blurrier.
Exactly. That's one of the key takeaways from the recent data. Climate change is playing a huge role here.
How so?
Well, as global temperatures rise, the mosquitoes that carry these diseases can survive in areas they never could before. Their viable habitat is expanding.
Seriously? So they're moving north and south?
Yes. We're seeing species like Aedes aegypti, the main carrier for dengue, Zika, chikungunya, establishing themselves further into North America and Europe.
Wow. So places that never really had to worry about these specific diseases might start seeing them.
It's already happening. West Nile virus is a good example in the U.S., carried by Culex mosquitoes. And dengue outbreaks are becoming more frequent in places like southern Europe and even parts of the southern U.S. The risk profile is shifting.
Okay, that makes the how even more critical then. We know who the mosquito, we know the horrifying scale, over 700,000 deaths.
Yeah.
So let's dive deep into the mechanism. How does this tiny thing with basically zero physical power achieve this?
Right. And it's not the physical act of biting, is it? I mean, the bite itself is negligible.
Annoying, yes. Lethal, no.
Precisely. The danger lies entirely in what's being exchanged during that bite. And it's fascinating biology. First off, only the females bite.
What? Only females?
They need the protein and iron in blood to develop their eggs. They aren't feeding for their own energy, not primarily anyway. They're using us or other animals as unwilling incubators for their next generation.
So we're basically helping them reproduce. great.
Inadvertently, yes. And during that process, the transmission occurs. When she lands, she inserts her proboscis, which isn't just one needle. It's actually a complex set of like 6 microscopic tools.
Ricks, wow.
Yeah. Some pierce the skin, some find the capillary, others inject saliva, and that saliva is key. It contains anticoagulants to stop the blood from clotting
Makes sense.
and mild anesthetic, so you might not even feel the bite initially, but crucially, that saliva is also the vehicle carrying the pathogens, the viruses, the parasites.
Okay, that's where it gets really deadly. The mosquito is just the syringe, the delivery system.
A perfect vector.
And the real weapon is what's in the syringe. Our sources highlight 2 main killers being spread this way, malaria and dengue. Let's tackle malaria first. Still the biggest killer, right?
Yes. Malaria accounts for the vast majority of those 700,000 deaths, maybe around 600,000 or more in some years. It's primarily transmitted by the Anopheles mosquito, which usually bites between dusk and dawn.
And it's caused by a parasite, not a virus or bacteria.
Correct. A parasite called Plasmodium. And what makes malaria so difficult and such a compelling subject for a deep dive is the parasite's incredibly complex life cycle. It's really quite devious.
Devious how? Walk us through it. Why is it so hard to beat?
Okay, so when an infected Anopheles bites you, it injects these little parasite forms called sporozoites. Now, these don't just hang out in the blood where your immune system could maybe find them quickly.
No. Where do they go?
They make a beeline straight for your liver, and inside your liver cells, they hide out and multiply like crazy for days or even weeks. And during this time, you feel perfectly fine, no symptoms at all.
So it's hiding from the immune system while it builds an army. That's incredibly clever.
It's a brilliant evolutionary strategy. Then, eventually, the infected liver cells burst, releasing thousands upon thousands of new parasite forms called merozoites into the bloodstream.
Oh, okay. Now the trouble starts.
Exactly. These merozoites infect your red blood cells. They multiply inside them, then burst out, destroying the red blood cell and infecting more. This cycle, infecting red cells, bursting, infecting more, is what causes the classic malaria symptoms. The intense cyclical fevers, the chills, the sweating, the severe anemia.
And that's what kills people, the anemia and fever.
That, and particularly with the most dangerous species, Plasmodium falciparum, the infected red blood cells can become sticky. They can clog small blood vessels, especially in the brain, causing cerebral malaria, or in the kidneys or lungs, leading to organ failure. It's a systemic attack, triggered by that single bite weeks earlier.
That is terrifyingly efficient. Okay, so that's malaria, the long incubation, parasitic killer, mainly via Anopheles. What about dengue? The sources flag that as a major and maybe growing threat.
Dengue is definitely a growing concern, and it's different. It's a virus, not a parasite, and it's primarily spread by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, though Aedes albopictus can transmit it too.
And Aedes aegypti is different from Anopheles.
Very different. Anopheles likes cleaner water, often rural settings, bites at night. Aedes aegypti loves urban environments. It breeds in tiny amounts of standing water flower pots, old tires, gutters, and crucially, it's an aggressive daytime biter.
Daytime. That changes things. Harder to avoid with bed nets.
Exactly. And its preference for cities means it can cause huge explosive outbreaks very quickly in densely populated areas.
And the disease itself, is it as deadly as malaria?
Well, most dengue infections are actually pretty mild, flu-like. Some are asymptomatic, but some cause severe dengue, which used to be called dengue hemorrhagic fever. The classic symptom is excruciating joint and muscle pain, hence the nickname breakbone fever.
Ouch. Sounds awful.
It is, but the really dangerous part comes with secondary infections. There are 4 main types or serotypes of the dengue virus. If you get infected with one type, you develop immunity to that specific type.
Okay.
But if you later get infected with a different serotype, your previous immune response can actually backfire. It can trigger a massive overreaction, leading to plasma leakage, severe internal bleeding, shock, and potentially death.
Wait, so having it once can make getting it a second time with a different strain much worse?
That's the dangerous paradox of dengue. And with 4 strains circulating and Aedes mosquitoes spreading so effectively in cities worldwide, the risk of these severe secondary infections is rising significantly.
It's like nature designed these perfect, distinct threats, one for rural nights, one for urban days, both using the mosquito.
And that adaptability, that dual threat, is a big reason why that 700,000 number is so stubbornly high. We've been fighting mosquitoes and these diseases for, well, over a century, but the goalposts keep moving.
Yeah, that leads to the next big question from the deep dive. Persistence. With all the money, the research, the DDT campaigns of the past, insecticides, drugs, why haven't we beaten this? Why is the mosquito still winning statistically?
Evolution, basically. They just evolve so much faster than we can develop new tools. Two main problems: drug resistance and pesticide resistance.
Okay, explain drug resistance first. That's the parasite or virus changing.
Exactly. The Plasmodium parasite for malaria is notorious for this. Chloroquine used to be a miracle drug. Now, resistance is widespread. Artemisinin-based combination therapies are our current best bet, but resistance to those is emerging too, particularly in Southeast Asia. It's a constant arms race.
And pesticide resistance. That's the mosquito itself changing.
Yes. Decades of spraying insecticides, like DDT back in the day, and now pyrethroids used in bed nets and indoor spraying. Well, they killed off most mosquitoes, but the few that had some natural genetic resistance survived.
And they passed on those resistant genes.
Precisely. So now, in many areas, the dominant mosquito populations are resistant to the insecticides we rely on. We have to keep developing new chemicals or find entirely different approaches because spraying just doesn't work as well as it used to. They are, quite simply, out-evolving our defenses.
So let's try to wrap this up. This deep dive started by questioning our assumptions about what dangerous really means, and we landed firmly on the mosquito. Tiny size, but a colossal death toll over 700,000 people every year.
More than all the scary predators combined.
And its weapon isn't claws or venom. It's incredibly efficient biological transmission. It's a vector, delivering devastating pathogens like the malaria parasite and the dengue virus.
With surgical precision, almost.
And maybe the most sobering takeaway is that this threat isn't static. It's adapting through drug and pesticide resistance, and it's literally moving, expanding its range because of climate change. It's not just a tropical problem anymore.
No, it's increasingly becoming a global challenge. It underlines how interconnected environmental health and human health really are.
So the ultimate message here: true lethality can be small, quiet, persistent.
It doesn't need to roar. It just needs to bite and transmit. The mosquito doesn't need brute force. It leverages complex biology, the parasite's life cycle, the virus's interaction with our immune system.
It's a chilling thought.
It is. So, the next time one of those tiny things lands on your arm, just take a second. Remember the scale. Remember the mechanism. It is statistically the deadliest animal on Earth.
And the final question, the one the source material leaves us with, really brings it home.
Would you survive its bite? It depends on where you are, what it's carrying, and maybe even what strains you've encountered before. It makes the abstract number very personal, doesn't it?
It really does. Something to definitely think about next time you hear that buzzing.